e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, g6, castle kingside, bishop g7, c3, knight f6, rook e1, queen b6, bishop f1, d6, knight a3, castle kingside, knight c4, queen c7, d3, d5, e takes d5, knight takes d5, a4, bishop f5, knight e3, knight takes e3, bishop takes e3, b6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight takes d4, c takes d4, rook fd8, a5, queen d6, a takes b6, a takes b6, rook takes a8, rook takes a8, queen b3, bishop takes d4, bishop takes d4, queen takes d4, rook takes e7, bishop e6, queen b5, king g7, queen c6, bishop d5, queen d7, rook a4, h4, rook b4, h5, queen f6, rook e2, rook d4, queen h3, g5, queen e3, h6, rook d2, rook e4, queen c3, bishop e6, f3, rook h4, rook d6, queen takes c3, b takes c3, rook takes h5, g3, g4, f takes g4, rook c5, rook takes b6, rook takes c3, king f2, bishop takes g4, rook b4, h5, rook f4, f5, bishop g2, king f6, rook b4, king g5, rook b8, rook c2, check, king g1, bishop e2, rook g8, check, king f6, rook f8, check, king g6, Rook G8 check. King F7. Rook B8. Bishop G4. Rook B6. King E7. Bishop D5. Rook D2. Bishop G2. Rook D3. King F2. King F7. Rook B7 check. King F6. Rook B6 check. King G5. Rook B8. Rook D2 check. King G1. King F6. Rook F8 check. King E7. Rook A8. Rook B2. Rook A7 check. King D6. Rook A6 check. King C5. Rook A5 check. King D4. Rook A4 check. King E3. Rook A3 check. King D2. Bishop F3. King E1. Rook E3 check. King D2. Rook E2 check. King C3. Rook takes B2. King takes B2. King F2. King C3. King E3. Bishop takes F3. King takes F3. King D3. King F4. King E2. King takes F5. King F3. King G5. King takes G3. King takes H5.